Of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Allegations of racism and discrimination at Palm Springs LGBTQ event involving ONYX and DJ Honey Davenport are fueling community conversations about inclusion, accountability, and welcoming queer people in spaces for people of color.
Missouri lawmakers introduced 58 anti-LGBTQ+ bills in 2026. But activists helped stop nearly all measures. Only one anti-trans healthcare restriction bill advanced before the legislative session ended.
Covington's LGBTQ community is questioning police accountability after controversial arrest and footage. The past messages by LGBTQ+ Liaison Officer Doug Ulrich have raised concerns about transparency and oversight.
Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach acknowledged ambiguity in the state's anti-trans bathroom law, saying some private and semi-private public spaces may not fall under its restrictions.
Jane Schoenbrun's queer horror comedy Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma earned rave reviews, praises at Cannes, and a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score ahead of its August 7th U.S. theatrical release.
All this important LGBTQ+ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand and on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached more than 12 million views. We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the Rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ+ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Tuesday, May 19th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show. Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America. Hotspots, Happening Out, South Florida. In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories.
We represent South Florida's major LGBTQ+ events, including Pride Fest Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, and television shows, news and entertainment support our mission to educate in our broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voices as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Welcome to the show, Gregg.
I just want to wish everyone a happy National Devil's Food Cake Day.
Ooh.
As my personal savior, Miss Jean Brodie, so eloquently said, quote, "For those that like that sort of thing, that is the sort of thing they like," end quote.
It's one of my favorite cakes, too. For special
Well, welcome,
reasons.
Gregg. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Let's welcome anchor Robert Hadley. Reverend Hadley is a deacon with Holy Angels National Catholic Church and part-time with Hotspots Happening Out as an event manager and occasional photographer. Robert, Wilton Manors Pride Ride is set for June 13th. Tell me, what's happening out?
Well, thanks for asking. Wilton Manors Social Club is a nonprofit sponsoring a 2-hour bicycle ride, a tour of Wilton Manors, covering its parks and a bit of its history, and discover why we talk about Stonewall Pride. So come and join us. It's free. Donations are requested to help cover expenses. Leaving from Strawberry Plaza, which is next to Gray Box Theater, right outside Holy Angels Church, sponsored by Carvel Bikes.
Wow, very cool. Is there going to be someone like on a microphone and saying, like,
Yes.
to the left, you're going to notice this house over here was where X, Y, and Z happened, and over
You
there.
have an experienced tour guide will lead you to the parks, and people from the Historical Society and some of our elected officials will be at key points along the way, and you'll find out the only peninsula in Wilton Manors.
The only peninsula in Wilton Manors?
Yes, we will ride on it.
I am quite intrigued, Reverend. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us at the table today.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Brian Bender. Brian is a true South Florida local. He is an educator, community leader, and a strong voice in education, history, and public policy. He teaches in Broward County Public Schools, holds a bachelor's and master's degree in education, and a postgraduate degree in leadership, and serves on the Fort Lauderdale Education Advisory Board. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Oh my goodness, thank you for having me. It's like my first time, but not. But anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for having me here again, and I am so excited to be here with you gentlemen, and I look forward to all the news that we're going to discuss with our viewers. So thanks a lot. I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up the Black community. Palm Springs LGBTQ community raises concerns over alleged racism at ONYX event. A controversy involving alleged racism and discrimination at Palm Springs LGBTQ venue is drawing attention from community leaders and activists. On May 4th, ONYX SoCal Southwest shared a Facebook statement describing issues surrounding an event held at the tool shed. The group said agreements with the bar owner changed repeatedly ahead of the event, including a reduction in the organization's donation and restrictions on planned fundraising activities. The group also alleged concerns over music requests made to DJ Honey Davenport. According to the statement, the DJ was asked to play country music during part of the event. ONYX explained that they wanted to show up as their authentic selves by incorporating house music typically played at their events. During the event, ONYX said Honey Davenport was approached about the music and a patron allegedly made a racial comment. Davenport chose to leave the event early to protect themselves. The statement further said, quote, "We were invited to produce an event celebrating people of color and spent the night feeling like we were being asked to stay in the background. We felt like the help. There seemed to be an underlying fear that house music or a POC vibe might make people uncomfortable," end quote. On May 13th, Honey Davenport shared a video of meeting with the Human Rights Commission of Palm Springs to discuss, quote, "real action and education around discrimination and microaggressions in this city," end quote. The controversy has sparked broader conversations across the Palm Springs LGBTQ community about inclusion, accountability, and creating spaces where all people feel welcomed and respected. Whoa. So it sounds like they were having an event and they were asked to play music that was totally not on brand for what they present. And is something about the fundraising. Are you able to kind of like illuminate
Well, I
this
think
for us
one
a
of the
little bit?
things that's important to remember is that this was an event, like for whatever it was, an hour, 2 hours. This wasn't like an ongoing thing. And the fact that the reaction that they got from these people, it's disgusting and very disappointing. And it kind of made you think that even liberal California, there's these pockets of, hateful assholes out there too. You'd think that everybody would be accepting, especially in a community as as largely gay as Palm Springs is. But I also recommend too that people do check out all that stuff on Facebook, the footage of the meeting with the council, because it's very well described.
Stated.
Absolutely. I think it's worth watching.
Reverend, do you have any hot take on this?
I've been to several ONYX events, mostly in Chicago and New York, and they're so well produced, well run. They're on point. They're meant to get the people who want to participate in the events that they produce. They're not divisive. They include everybody. You know, I've been welcome to more ONYX events than not. And this is just an unusual experience in Palm Springs for the community. It's not typical Palm Springs, California at all.
Yeah, well, you know, I've never been to Palm Springs. I know I'm going to have my gay card revoked, you know, but I have to say I spend a lot of time in Wilton Manors. I live right down the street. So I would love to get to Palm Springs, but I would never want to go to a place where people of color are not welcomed, you know, because as an ally to people of color, you know, I don't want to support with my dollars, you know, an organization that might not respect all people. So I'm happy that this person was able to go to the Human Rights Commission in Palm Springs and be able to state their case and be able to speak eloquently. And Gregg's telling everybody to check it out on their Facebook page. I don't have the link here, but, you know, I'm sure if you did a quick search.
Yeah. There's also the timing of this. It's very interesting because there is a 22-minute documentary short being released very soon called Welcome to Toolshed, co-directed by Daniel Talbot and Andrew Claus Vineyard. It's being shown during Cannes, during the film festival, and it's also playing in other venues. So it'll be interesting to observe how this experience, this thing that just happened, affects the bar itself, as well as the way people are going to respond to this short film, because this is a news story and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
What an unfortunate PR.
Yeah,
right. You know, I mean, obviously the timing here is not ideal. I mean, if there's never a good time to be racist or be a POS to people. There's never a good time for that, but especially not when your bar is getting free publicity by having a short film being presented at Cannes. So we'll see what happens with that.
I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up the USA view. Missouri blocks nearly all anti-LGBTQ plus bills in major setback for GOP agenda. Missouri lawmakers introduced 58 anti-LGBTQ plus bills during the 2026 legislative session, but only one anti-trans measure ultimately became law before the legislature adjourned Friday. According to queer advocacy group Promo, the outcome marks a major slowdown in a state long viewed as one of the nation's leading testing grounds for anti-LGBTQ plus legislation. The proposals introduced this year targeted transgender youth, drag performers, classroom discussions on gender expression, diversity initiatives, and transgender student participation in sports. One bill mirrored Kansas's controversial anti-trans restroom restrictions, while others aimed to permanently extend Missouri's existing bans on gender-affirming health care for minors. However, months of lobbying, public testimony, and grassroots organizing helped stop most of the measures from becoming law. Promo says more than 5,000 people participated in advocacy efforts during the session. The only anti-trans measure that passed permanently extends Missouri's restriction on gender-affirming health care for incarcerated transgender people. The provision was included in a state appropriations bill and now heads to Republican Governor Mike Kehoe for his signature. According to Promo, Missouri lawmakers have introduced 371 anti-LGBTQ plus bills since 2015, though only 4 have become law. The organization is now focusing on defeating Missouri's proposed Amendment 3. It is a ballot initiative that could repeal the state's Reproductive Rights Amendment, ban most abortions, and constitutionally prohibit gender transition procedures for minors. You know, coming from, the Great Lakes states, the Midwest, I have a lot of friends from the, who are a little south, living in Missouri. I have a lot of friends in Columbia, and some friends in St. Louis, and I'm concerned for them. I'm as concerned for them as they are for us here in Florida. And I think LGBTQ Missourians are fortunate to have an organization such as Promo advocating on their behalf, and maybe those doing those kinds of things here could learn a few things from the Promo people.
But will they learn? They never do. So I have a feeling, in our next legislative session, they're going to try some other things as well. It was funny hearing that Missouri is the testing ground for all of these anti-LGBTQ initiatives, because it feels like Florida is actually the ground zero, the proving ground. Exactly. It's definitely, I feel like LGBTQ plus people, it's like the Hunger Games here. Yeah. It's like who can outdo who in order to make our lives miserable. So,
just the fact they had 371 bills introduced, only 4
one passed. 58 bills, anti-LGBTQ bills were put up on the floor, and only one passed.
Right.
And it was for no gender-confirming surgeries if an inmate is incarcerated.
Correct.
Right.
So they're obviously trying very hard to protect themselves against ghosts.
The big bad queers,
And again, they're protecting the less than 1%. Transgender people incarcerated, less than 1% of the population. They're trying to protect themselves from, as I said before, the boogeyman.
Yeah.
It's,
1%.
LGBTQ plus people are constantly being scapegoated in our society. When I go to the gas pump, my costs have gone up. When I go to the grocery store, it used to be that Whole Foods used to be whole paycheck. Every grocery store is whole paycheck now. So, when things are not going well in a society, especially economically, they're always looking for people to pin it on, and not necessarily pin it on, although that's what they do. The downfall of, the United States is, LGBTQ plus people. They don't call us LGBTQ plus. They say much worse. But it's definitely about distracting where, look over here and don't look over there.
Right.
So
like Houdini, look somewhere else.
Look somewhere else. It's like, don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. So, gay people, queer people, gender nonconforming people, we're really in a pickle, and hopefully cooler heads prevail in the future. We have to be hopeful, because right now it's not looking too good. Although, even in a place like Missouri, with only one anti-LGBTQ plus bill getting passed, it's horrible. I feel terrible for the people that can't access care.
Right.
And I also have to think, well, at least 57 of those bills didn't get passed.
Well, and hopefully Promo will share some of their playbook.
Hopefully.
I'm Reverend Mr. Hadley, and let's queer up the USA view. Covington LGBTQ plus liaison faces scrutiny after 9 federal lawsuits. Residents in Covington, Kentucky's queer community are raising concerns about trust in local law enforcement after 9 federal lawsuits were filed against Covington police officer Doug Ulrich since 2021. Ulrich serves the department's LGBTQ plus liaison officer, a role intended to build communication and trust between police and queer residents. But community members told Queer Kentucky they believe the department is failing that mission. The scrutiny intensified after dash cam footage from October 2024 traffic stop became public earlier this year. The video showed officers, including Ulrich, forcibly removing Damian Corner, a black LGBTQ man, from his vehicle after officers claimed they smelled marijuana. Connor was detained overnight and released later without charges. He filed a federal civil rights suit in 2025. As per court records, Ulrich is not found liable under the 3 complicated federal cases against him. One of these cases before the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals. According to concern were excerpts from Ulrich's personal file, which revealed in 2014 a group chat in which he wrote, "I violate every policy," unquote, while discussing use of force incidents. Community advocates are now calling on city leaders and the Covington Police Department to address concerns about accountability, transparency, and oversight.
What do you say about that?
Here's something you may not know about me.
Tell us.
I served the village of Bloomingdale Police Department for several years.
Okay.
The only gay officer in the entire DuPage County.
Wow.
The first one.
Wow.
Well,
Yes.
congrats to you. So you bring a sensitivity to this
Yes.
conversation.
So it's important to me to recognize that if someone's hired to do LGBT work, you better be sensitive to the topic. I wasn't in that position. It was a small city. We didn't have an LGBT officer, but people looked at me
Of
for
course.
representation sharing.
And I'm sure you were fabulous at your job because you brought sensitivity to the role.
Yes.
And, you know, this
Ron's
guy...
a prick, but
Well, oh, really?
But this guy who's proud of violating
He said
everything.
That, he
he
said,
violates
I
everything.
broke every rule in
You
the
know,
book.
I
I mean,
mean,
like,
I would-
what is wrong with this
yeah,
guy?
that's the thing. If you're claiming you violate every in your personnel records, the city should have done something. And in my city,
Yes.
I would have been brought up on charges right away.
Yes.
Obviously, they're in cahoots with each other. I mean, you know, this is in Covington, Kentucky.
Never heard of it.
Well, you know, Kentucky, we like to think that Kentucky is just Kentucky Fried Chicken, or at least I do, because every time I'm here at the table, I talk about my love for Kentucky Fried Chicken. They do a few
Yes.
things right,
Okay.
but not everything.
No,
This is one of them.
And if you look at a map,
Yeah.
Kentucky and Missouri, which we just discussed, they're kissing cousins.
Kissing cousins.
They share a border just south of reliably blue Illinois.
Right.
So let's hope that the kinds of
Subverted,
changes occurring in Missouri spread into Kentucky, which does have a Democrat as a governor,
Andy
Andy
Beshear.
Beshear, and hopefully that they will send that officer, that violating officer, that vile violating officer, send him packing.
Send him packing and send him across the river to a blue state and let him be re-educated with the gay agenda. I'm Brian Bender and let's queer up trans rights. Kansas law on trans bathroom access gets new interpretation from Attorney General. Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach says some public facilities may not be subject to the state's sweeping anti-trans bathroom law. The opinion came after Democratic Governor Laura Kelly requested clarification on whether Senate Bill 244 applied to places like park cabins managed by the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks or skilled nursing rooms at the Kansas Office of Veteran Services. Kobach said the law mainly applies to shared spaces where people could encounter someone of the opposite sex assigned at birth while undressed. He argued that private or semi-private spaces generally fall outside the law's restrictions. Kobach wrote, quote, "The debates surrounding SB 244 focused on the types of rooms listed in the statute: restrooms, locker rooms, changing rooms, and shower rooms, and the risks to safety and privacy when individuals of one biological sex use facilities designated for individuals of the opposite biological sex," end quote. Under the opinion, married couples in nursing homes may continue sharing rooms, park cabins would not require separate bathrooms, and skilled nursing rooms would not face additional restrictions. However, Kobach said state prisons must still follow the law's bathroom restrictions, including in multi-occupancy cells. Kobach also urged Kelly to seek legislative clarification during the 2027 session if concerns about ambiguity remain. Kelly previously vetoed SB 244, but the Republican-controlled legislature overrode her veto and enacted the law. Her office continues to argue that the measure is vague. Well, the one thing that is not vague is the gender nonconforming person in a prison cell who might have been born biologically male, identifies as female, and has to be locked up with men who could possibly hurt that person. I think there's a fine line between being concerned for women's safety and hurting a whole class of people that make up less than 1 to 2% of the whole United States population. Yes. It's searching for solutions for a problem that really does not exist. Mm-hmm. And it's very divisive or divisive. Is it divisive or divisive?
Yeah.
It's very, let's go with divisive. It's very divisive in our community, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. Yeah. They're trying to create a boogeyman or, a boogeyman, I guess, or a boogie person, a scapegoat, because they just don't have their act together in the state. It's not an economic powerhouse. There's nothing thrilling coming out of, what is this, Kansas? Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why Dorothy said, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Yeah, because when she landed in Oz, it was fabulous, where Kansas might not be so fabulous.
Well, I'm sure she'd feel differently about there being no place like home if she lived in Kansas today.
Right, absolutely.
When stories pop up like this, we discuss it at home. you guys know that I've been seeing a beautiful black transgender woman for 6.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about these things all the time. Who are the boogie people? Who do we be afraid of? Most transgender people I know don't want to undress in front of other people. They intentionally were private because of body dysphoria. Mm-hmm. Most of them we know, again, it has to be for everybody, wants to do everything private, not in public areas. So to make laws like this, again, it's laws for a problem that doesn't exist.
You know,
Right.
and I just want to reiterate what you said is that a lot of transgendered people do things in private because they don't want to expose themselves to hate, bigotry, possibly violence, you know, unaliving, whatever it might be. And what really hurt my heart is that there's a person that I go to Zumba with who is transgendered. She's fierce and fabulous. And she pulled me aside after Zumba class one day and she said, I'm afraid, you know, the one part of my whole Zumba thing is I just don't want to go into the locker room. She's like, I go into the stall, I do my business, I do what I got to do, and then I get out of there. And what I would really like to do is be able to take Zumba in the morning, but I got to get my makeup done and I don't, you know, so there's so many logistics that happen. And I feel bad for people that they can't just live their one beautiful, scary, wonderful life without feeling like there's a threat, you know, to their safety.
And that she confided in you about that too.
Right.
Yeah, the trust is important, so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, you know, keep on, you know, for the people that are not conforming to what society says they should conform to, whatever it may be, or their religious community, I just want to say, keep being you, keep shining, and get out of Kansas as fast as you possibly can. And let's hope that the Wicked Witch's house falls right on Kansas. So
Go to Seattle.
go to Seattle. Well, we're going to talk about that pretty soon.
I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up entertainment. Queer horror comedy Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma wins hearts at Cannes. Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, directed by Jane Schonbrun, is the filmmaker's follow-up to acclaimed queer projects We're All Going to the World's Fair and I Saw the TV Glow. The film currently holds a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The movie stars Gillian Anderson and Hannah Einbinder alongside Eva Victor, Jasmine Savoy Brown, and Quintessa Swindell. In the film, Einbinder plays a filmmaker tasked with reviving a fading slasher franchise, while Anderson portrays the mysterious star of the original movies. Critics praised the film's mix of horror, comedy, and queer storytelling. Awards Watch called Schonbrun, quote, a definitive voice of their generation, end quote, while Little White Lies said the movie defies easy categorization. Time Out's 5-star review described the film as, quote, a gift that keeps on giving, end quote, adding that Anderson raises her own bar. Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma is scheduled to open in U.S. theaters on August 7th. Well, I'm going to begin by saying something nice, which is Eva Victor, who is in this movie, was in absolutely one of the top 3 best movies of 2025, a movie called Sorry Baby. So if you haven't seen that movie, see that movie. Now, I'm going to say that I was not a fan of Schonbrun's We're All Going to the World's Fair, and I wrote that, quote, it was a movie that wore its demographic specific exclusivity like a badge of honor. In other words, if you weren't into role-playing games, you might find yourself shivering out in the cold, end quote. And then I gave I Saw the TV Glow a C- rating in my review. That said, I do have somewhat higher hopes for Schonbrun's new movie, Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, especially because of the high-profile cast, including Anderson and Einbinder and, of course, Victor. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait until August to see if my hopes are dashed.
Maybe you'll take me for my birthday. My birthday's August 2nd. We can watch it together.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a possibility.
Well, I really like that it said that it defies easy categorization, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. These are lines that I'm going to use in my Sniffies profile and my Grindr profile. So it defies easy categor. So what are you into?
Yeah.
Defies easy categorization. What are you looking for? The gift that keeps on. I don't know. There's so much you could do with that.
Yes.
I don't know any of those people except Gillian Anderson.
Hannah Einbinder's in Hacks. Do you watch Hacks?
I've seen maybe 10 minutes of it.
Okay.
So it's my ADHD. I can barely watch anything.
She's amazing.
I can barely hold anything in my brain.
And she's queer. So
well, then it's got to be good.
Yeah.
If it's queer, it's got to be good.
We don't get out much. I've never heard of these things before.
Obviously,
we're binging Black Monday.
Okay.
And Bike Love Bikes, Japanese or Thai love story. Those we're watching, and this is their focus.
All right.
So,
I think the last show that I watched was like Black Mirror, like 5 years ago, and that scared me, and I just haven't
this
been
will
the same
probably scare
since.
you too.
Well, I don't like to be scared.
Okay.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Hotspots magazine discusses the hottest men's grooming trend this summer. Our Hotspots happening out LGBTQ lifestyle magazine Hotspots is back with a feature on why sun protection is becoming an essential part of modern men's grooming. Beauty expert Dana Lekis explains how healthy skin has become an important part of personal presentation, confidence, and professional appearance. The feature shares simple skincare habits from SPF moisturizers to light grooming routines designed for Florida heat and beach culture. With tips for maintaining healthy camera-ready skin, the guide proves that confidence starts with protection and consistency. This feature story and many more are included in your free copy of the upcoming issue of Hotspots magazine on stands this Thursday, May 21st. So I just want to say that I got a little chuckle. Not only because I need to incorporate a lightweight SPF moisturizer into my routine.
Everybody does.
Everybody does, especially if you live in South Florida. But I love how it said that we, what is it about being consistent? Hold on. It starts with protection and consistency. Why you could slap that on anything in Wilton Manors and it could make sense. So I just want to say.
And that's on your Sniffies profile.
Yes, that's going to go on my dating profile. So I just want to say well done, Hotspots magazine, for bringing the very important topic of skincare, because it is important, not just because we want to look pretty and look nice, but because also we don't want skin cancer. It's very painful to get those removed. But also because you have hot men on the cover and you guys are providing great magazines with consistency, and I'm just enjoying that. So anybody want to say anybody want to follow what I just said?
As usual, Hotspots sizzles.
It does sizzle. So
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Elton John launches expanded LGBTQ awards honoring LGBTQ trailblazers. The newly expanded Elton John Impact Awards will launch June 1st as a podcast series and iHeartRadio audio special honoring LGBTQ trailblazers and allies. The first group of honorees includes Chappell Roan, Laverne Cox, Melissa Etheridge, Jonathan Bailey, Billie Jean King, and Orville Peck. Created by iHeartMedia and P&G, the awards evolved from the Elton John Impact Award first introduced during Can't Cancel Pride in 2022. Organizers say the event has raised more than $17 million for LGBTQ nonprofits over 5 years. Hosted by Billy Porter and Elvis Duran, the special will feature conversations with Elton John and performances by Dove Cameron. You know, I have to ask, where would we be without the ultimate trailblazer, Elton John? I mean, that man, what that man has done is unbelievable, and what a fabulous event, and I hope that Elton John and his organization continues to raise much needed funds for LGBTQ nonprofits.
Because you can't cancel Pride, and I think that was a wonderful title for the event, and I'm just going to go around. You can't cancel Pride. You can't cancel Pride. Like, you ask me a question, I'm just going to repeat. You can't cancel Pride.
There you go.
So, because you really can't. We have to be proud of ourselves in this time that we're living in, and raise that money. And if anybody wants to send me some money, my QR code will be at the end of the show. feel free to scan the QR code at the end.
We just talk about stories in different states who are trying to outlaw people.
Right.
This is just the opposite. This is good news. I support good news. I preach the good news. I rather hear good news.
You know what? I'm going to take that as gospel from you.
You got
Put in your profile, I support the good news.
I support the good news.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the USA. Seattle considers civil emergency as LGBTQ plus Americans flee conservative states. Growing numbers of LGBT Americans, particularly transgender folk, are relocating from conservative states to Seattle, seeking safety and healthcare access. In a recent letter, Seattle's LGBT Community Commission warns city leaders that trans people are fleeing states including Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Kansas, Idaho, maybe Missouri, to restrictive laws, safety concerns, and limits on healthcare and legal recognition. The commission described the trend as internal displacement and said existing emergency systems are not prepared to handle the rising demand. Advocates say Seattle nonprofits are already struggling to provide housing, transportation, legal aid, emergency financial support, and non-gender affirming care. According to Seattle's Day News, civil emergency declaration could unlock additional city funding and strengthen coordination with regional and state partners. Seattle has become a safe haven for a lot of folks. I mean, cyclists. Cyclists in Seattle are just an amazing experience. It's the hippie generation, no matter what. It's better than San Francisco, the diversity, wonderful people. And I have friends up in Seattle who just love it for its strength and diversity. And people are fleeing there, going there, because for safety. I can understand that.
And I love that there's a place where LGBTQ plus and gender nonconforming people can go and feel safe. I also feel that they need an infusion of money to be able to provide services, because it's not the rich gays and gender nonconforming people that are maybe fleeing to Seattle and utilizing the resources there. It's the people that are coming from red states that are perhaps financially impoverished to begin with, seeking these services. So I believe that, Seattle has a much more humane policy when it comes to helping people that are in need.
They have a civil rights commission.
Exactly.
Right, but how affordable, the question is how affordable is housing?
Affordable housing.
Right. I mean, that's an issue that's going to, I hope Seattle will be able to survive the strain of this influx and continue being a beacon of safety for those relocating.
Absolutely. I just hope it doesn't get to a point where they say, whoa, we've reached our limit with what we can financially absorb. But I agree with you, Reverend. I've been to Seattle many times, and I have to say, despite the rain, it's never gloomy there because the gays and the queers run that city, and it is fabulous.
One of my colleagues, as you hear, Reverend Brian Hutchinson, is Emerald MCC in Seattle. And he's doing phenomenal work of keeping people safe. Transgender people are focused with MCC Church there, keeping people safe from angst.
Absolutely, because people need to be protected, and thank God that there are people out there in the world that are doing good work, and I just want to say thank you to your friend and thank you to you for shining a light on that. So it's a gloomy subject, but it doesn't have to be when you have people in Seattle that are willing to help.
Yes.
LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Reddit users reveal biggest bedroom turnoffs in viral AskGayBros discussion. A viral discussion on Reddit's AskGayBros is getting attention after users shared the biggest things that instantly, quote, kill the mood, end quote, during hookups. Responses ranged from common complaints like bad breath, poor hygiene, pets in the room, to an ankle monitor. One user said dead silence would be a turnoff, while another replied, quote, silence is fine. Having music playing, then getting an ad selling toys with kids laughing, that's a turnoff, end quote. Many commenters stressed boundaries and consent, while a few users joked that watching Fox News was enough to end the mood instantly. Absolutely. Fox News, One America, anything with the current regime playing.
Newsmax.
Newsmax. I couldn't think of it. I blocked those out of my thought process. And then also I would add to that, anybody that you're just hooking up with that wants to psychoanalyze you as you're hooking up with them, like they know you, like, I know this might be a little too personal, but I once hooked up with a guy who said, "You're a lot sexier than you think you are." Then he picked me up and then he goes, "You're a lot lighter than you think you are." And I'm thinking to myself, you don't know what I think about myself. So you don't have to tell me, that you think you know. So that was a huge turnoff. And I said, you got to go. Like, I've had enough of you. So anybody else have any turnoffs?
I'm in a position to hear a lot from people. People can, don't confess, I hear confessions, but people tell me a lot of stories, personal stories, when I was a social worker and now. And the ankle monitor thing in Broward County, it sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You are out of bounds. Is supposed to be a turn on or turn off in the bedroom. I've heard.
There are some genres on the platform formerly known as Twitter where a lot of very sexy South American men have ankle monitors on and also need to relieve some primal urges. And I have to say, I have never actively sought out that genre, but I do have to say, scrolling through my feed, it's quite interesting is all I'm going to say. And
well, it's such a relief to know that we have Reddit to turn to for answers to life's most meaningful questions. Thanks, Reddit.
Thank you, Reddit. And thank you, AskGayBros.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up trans rights. Elon Musk's ex, Ashley St. Clair, accuses him of endangering trans daughter Vivian Wilson. Ashley St. Clair, who shares a child with billionaire Elon Musk, is criticizing him over repeated social media posts targeting his transgender daughter, Vivian Wilson. Musk recently wrote on Twitter, quote, "The woke mind virus killed my son," end quote, referring to Wilson, whom he has publicly misgendered in past posts. In a series of Instagram stories, St. Clair condemned Musk's comments, writing, quote, "Stop tweeting about your children in this way. This is just not okay and, in my opinion, a promotion of violence against trans individuals," end quote. St. Clair has also previously apologized for her own transphobic comments made in the past. Well, now that execrable Elon lost his OpenAI AI lawsuit, he's probably going to be even more cruel and hateful to everyone, including his own offspring. So look out, world, here he comes.
I thought you were going to say cruel and unusual, because I feel like his being loosed upon the world is kind of cruel and unusual punishment. And I don't know if it's just me, but I always feel like the last name St. Clair, while it's a beautiful name, and I know Upton St. Clair, the jungle, because I'm a teacher and I know these things, but I always feel like the last name St. Clair is a fake name. I don't know what it is about that. There's just something, it sounds like a pseudonym. It doesn't, I know that this is completely off topic, but do you get that from that last name? No, it's just my own crazy.
I have a whole list of saints. I don't think that way.
St. Clair. Okay, all right. So yeah, well, you're part of Holy Angels. So yeah, absolutely. These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That's the passion of Hotspots magazine, happening on Television Network and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Brian Bender, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Gregg Shapiro and Robert Hadley. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we bid you adieu and good night.